Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, bringing you another book review. This time, the books I'm reviewing is coming from the Give Yourself Goosebumps series, and it's book number 30, Your Plant Food. This book is it's pretty out there. It takes place in a botanical garden called the Evil Creeper Botanical Garden. And your teacher has brought you and your friends and the rest of your classmates to this botanical garden for a field trip. And you and your best friend Carrie are basically the main characters in this story, as your teacher has given the entire class an assignment to go around to the 4 places, ecosystems in the botanical gardens, and take notes of what they see and make sure that they obey the rules while doing it and don't touch the plants. Those are the main rules. And it's run by this guy named Max Creeper, this place, and he's a really kooky scientist who experiments with plants, and they crossbreeds them to make them have specific features and intelligence, and they can walk, and they have shape-shifting abilities, and later to come to find out that he experimented with pesticides and created giant mutant insects, and there's an ice room with really dangerous icicles and a bunch of different obstacles you and your friend Carrie will come across throughout this book. And I will say the ending of this book, there's a reward that these kids can achieve if they get all of the rooms done and take the best notes. And the prize is revealed at the end, and that's like the true ending. And it was kind of funny and kind of silly, but it definitely was probably a way scarier ending for the kids than it was for the readers in the story. But like I said, it was a fun ending. Alright, so what were some good highlight moments in this book? There is a path you can take that requires you to go to this desert, and you become a plant. And it's pretty terrifying on what your friend has to go through to help you, and what you have to go through to fix yourself. That was pretty scary. There's a scene with a scientist that's trying to trap you in a room. That's really scary. Some giant insects. That really didn't scare me, but it did make up a good chunk of this book, with chase scenes with these giant insects. And then, not to mention, you're almost always running from something, trying to save something, or you're trying to get out of something. So basically, it feels like a trap room or a panic room type of story, where you only have certain places you can go and certain choices you can make. And this book does not shy away. If you make the wrong choice, it will give you an ending. And almost all the endings end up really terrible for the characters. Like, it's not a pleasant ending whatsoever. It usually involves them getting eaten, or dying, or spending a life inside of this place. So, for the most part, I thought this book was pretty readable. It wasn't my normal wheelhouse. I will say this is only the second Give Yourself Goosebumps I read. And the previous one I read, Revenge of the Body Squeezers, I definitely felt like had a scarier atmosphere than this. Even though the atmosphere is scary, you're in a wicked, wild, kooky scientist botanical garden, and you're separated from your teacher, who can potentially be your only help when these bad things start happening. And you have to rely on yourself and rely on the things that your teacher has taught you and observations that you make throughout the place to not fall victim to the garden's plants and animals that flock through it. There is a pretty, also now that I think about it, there is a pretty graphic scene very early in the book that involves some birds. Yeah, that was basically like a pretty graphic imagery of somebody getting eaten alive. That was pretty terrifying as well. So this book can be kind of pricey. Luckily on Amazon there's a seller. This seller, come to find out, I looked them up. They tend to sell like overseas versions, so they have a couple of these rare to find Give Yourself Goosebumps books, but they're not the U.S. editions. They are the the Japanese yen versions, I think, but they're still printed in English. The paper quality is still like the other paper quality. It still feels like a real Goosebumps book. It's still raised there, so I don't think they're really counterfeits. But there is an accessible way to get this book if you don't have it, and that's on Amazon. I think I got mine for like $10 shipped. So if this is something that you may want for your collection or want to read, that's probably the best place to get it for the best price. Now for the review, does this book have any negatives? Yes. And there's mainly one negative I have with it that I can think of, and that is the overwhelming amount of chase scenes in this book. You know, there's some Goosebumps books that have a lot of chase scenes, but these kids are running for their lives in almost every version and path you take. They're running from something. And, you know, it would be nice to have a scene where you actually can get like a couple of pages of just taking in the scenery of the place. They get into the description of the place briefly, usually. Then something scary happens and they have to run. You know, it got kind of old, but I didn't put it down. I was really intrigued with the story, but that was the only problem I had with that. Really, was the running. They're always running from something, and also the ending. The very ending was kind of silly, which is not usually my cup of tea with Goosebumps. I like more serious tone. I know I'm so serious, but it was kind of silly for me. But I definitely can see how it's going to be scary for the kids in the book, not necessarily me as the reader. So, am I going to give this book a excellent rating, which is between 4.5 and 5? No. But I do think it's an above average book. I do think it's very well written. I definitely think that you'll have a fun time reading this. So with that being said, let's get into the official ranking. From 0 to 5 stars, what would I rank this? Well, like I said, with the ending, I deducted 0.2 off because it was kind of too silly for me. But like I said, I can see why it's scary for the characters in the book, not for the reader. So I deducted 0.2 off. And then the running scenes, I really struggled with this because of that. I deducted like 0.4 off. So this book was very, very close to being an excellent grade at a 4.5, but I just missed it, and I gave this a 4.4 out of 5, which is still a really good score. This is a really good book. I do recommend it. Now, since it's hard to find, like I said, if you really want this, go to Amazon for a good deal. I think it's a scalper's price on everywhere else. Like if you find a copy on Thrift Books or Abe Books or eBay, it's going to be like 20 plus for this. Don't pay that. I wouldn't, when you can get this on Amazon for cheaper. In this cover edition, and I think this was a cover done by Craig White. This is what the Craig White era. I don't know. Some people hate the covers on this. I actually really enjoyed it. And for once, the cover on this actually deals with a scene in the book. Really, really cool. So, yeah, I give this a 4.4 out of 5. Let me know what you guys think. Did you guys like Your Plant Food? Did you guys think I was too harsh on the grade, or did you guys think that I should have rated it higher? Let me know in the comment section. And until next time, peace.